Hi team, welcome to another TeamCPNZ Quick Connect podcast where you can stay informed, keep connected and learn from each other along the way. I'm your team captain, Richard Greer, and today on the show we're talking with Holly Gibson, who joined us on our 2024 Adventure Squad, which consists of 3 runs, hikes over the hills over winter in May, June and July. This was her first year that she's joined us, and today we're going to learn about her experience and what she has taken from those group adventures, which is going to be pretty cool. You are listening to TeamCPNZ Connect number 16, and this is number 139 podcast that we've done so far. But before we get to Holly, I just want to remind you of our Tour de France challenge that is just finished up. So keen to get those final totals of what you did if you were riding your bike and following the Tour de France. How far did you go? How much climbing you did? What percentage of the Tour de France did you tick off? Keen to get an understanding of that, so flick those through to us, through to me, through to Sandra, or post on our social channels as well of what you got up to. Will be super cool. Another quick update, if you haven't seen it, Sandra sent out a email last week on our new membership card that we've got, which we've got lots of different great partners that we work with, including Evo Cycles, Frontrunner, Colombo, Pure, Sport Nutrition. That's it. There's a whole bunch of different awesome partners we have, Giant Bikes, etc. So we've got a bunch of discounts and a bunch of sort of things that can help you out amongst your adventures. So if you didn't get that card, flick me and flick Sandra a message. It's basically got a bit of a discount code that you can take into, save it onto your phone so you can just show any stores that you go into that you're part of Team CP, and they'll give you a little bit of extra help along the way or maybe help you buy an extra tube or two if you're in Evo Cycles, or line up a few extra gels if you're trying to buy some Pure to get your adventures rolling. So keep an eye on that. So a little bit more on our Adventure Squad, back to that. So our Adventure Squad was born 3 years ago when all events were sort of getting cancelled out of COVID. So we decided we'd put on our own kind of small scale event, effectively, which is an event, but it's not really an event. During winter, when there's not much other sort of events going on, that could be a bit flexible in terms of weather and locations we could get to. So a big part of it is keeping an eye on the weather and having a sort of plan A, B, C, D. I think there was an Arthur's Pass adventure that we got to about option G by the time we sort of figured out what we could do around a big snowfall that happened just beforehand. But last couple of years, we've actually managed to hit all of our option A adventures, which is pretty cool. So this year we headed up Beely Spur on an absolute bluebird day where we could see Mount Cook and Mount Tasman in the distance up on the ridgeline. We got up into the snow. We traversed a rocky ridge to the highest point of 1907, which was pretty awesome. Second adventure took us up to Rat Hill, which is a little known peak nestled just behind Mount Hutt ski field. Actually, it was a bit of a moody old day. The nor'west sort of came in and went. It was a frosty to start with in the sun, and then we had a few snowflakes as we climbed the hill, and then it got pretty windy and chilly as we bagged a couple of huts and a bit of rain to finish. But just last weekend we explored our third adventure, which was Southern Valley, which is located just up the road from Mount White Bridge, where the start of the Coast to Coast kayak is. There were lots of rivers to cross, boulders to scramble over, tree roots to negotiate, and scree slopes to slide down as well. During each adventure we break into groups, 3 different groups with our coaches leading each group, with Fiona and Matt and myself. And those groups kind of naturally split up based on enthusiasm, fitness levels, and how everyone's sort of feeling on the day. So it was awesome to have all 3 groups make it up to the Biv on Sunday up in Southern Valley, with my group getting up to the head of the valley and it even managed a sort of dodgy snow angel as well. And then also heading back out the valley, one of the highlights is the group's kind of finished back together over the last couple of kilometers. Everyone sort of integrates and catch ups to see what they've been doing, and there's plenty of baking, shared treats and things to have at the end, which was probably almost overcooked a little bit this time around. It was probably only a quarter of it got actually finished. So that's kind of our Adventure Squad as a whole. But today we're going to chat to Holly, who was, as I say, first time up, and chat to her about her experiences. Holly, are you there?
I am.
Good job. So tell us a little bit about your background. How did and how you found out about the Adventure Squad for a start?
So I have always sort of dabbled in the fitness space, as in, lining up for half marathons and things like that, whether I could or I couldn't, just sign up and turn up. And in the middle of last year, I ran into a lady called Amy who was doing this thing called the Adventure for Dementia. And it was basically going up the pipeline and doing these 5K loops with 500 meters of elevation. And she was doing one more every month.
Yeah. Which is massive. Yeah.
Got to go along and join her. And through that, I met quite a few members of Team CP. And I was like, gosh, this seems like a really great group. And then I saw the sign up for the Adventure Squad and thought that I've got to give it a go and see what happens. So, yeah, not much of an adventurer prior to that. I work in a pretty ordinary type of a job. I'm head of people and capability at Dynamic Controls. So spend most of my day, in an office. So it caught my attention. I thought I've got to sign up, give it a go and see what happens.
Yeah, good stuff. So we did this on Sunday. It's Friday afterwards. We're recording it now. How are the legs today?
I actually had to board a flight first thing on Monday morning, and I thought, gosh, sitting still for an hour and a half, I'm gonna be feeling that. And I definitely had to do a bit of stretching over Monday, Tuesday, but no, feeling really good. Feeling really good. Yeah,
good stuff. So let's just take ourselves back. So you did our first adventure. Unfortunately, we were sick for the second one, which was a bit rough, and then you come on the weekend as well. But let's just go back to that first one. We went up Beely Spur the first day. How were you feeling when you got on the bus? You signed up for this. How were you feeling as you sort of met the others and sort of got underway and sort of getting into it for the first time?
Yeah, it was a mixture of excitement and nerves. I have walked up to the hut at Beely Spur once before, so I kind of had a rough idea what to expect. And although the weather wasn't nearly as beautiful as when we did it, it was stunning.
Yeah.
And I think I'd built up in my mind that because of having met so many members of Team CP that are quite fit, really top of the line type athletes, I thought, oh, I really hope I can keep up. And what was so amazing is we got off the bus and sure, we all sort of set off together, but there was no pressure to be running up hills. And I think in my head, I thought, oh, I better be ready to run up all the way up to the hut sort of thing. And there was a bit of nerves as to whether or not I could do that. But what was great is we could all just take it at our own pace. And I think that's a really important thing to mention, because sometimes we, qualify ourselves out for things because we think, oh, I've got to be, really super, super fit and able to run up hills. You don't. You've just got to try. And, and it was lovely. We just walked up, talked to one another, took in the views, and then split out when we got up to the hut. And, it was great. It really helped me relax because I was like, I can do this, so it was pretty awesome.
That's good. And one of the ways we qualified is, can you walk up a hill without stopping? Can we walk up a steep hill without stopping? So can you pace yourself to a point that you don't have to sort of take a breath and stop as we're going? And I think on our adventures, as long as you can keep moving, then you'll be fine. But so that was good. And I think I found on that first day there was lots of chatting going on. I think I was probably one of the last to the hut for a start, because it was just a great day to be out and kind of catching up with different people. So that was good. And then after that, we feeling pretty good at the hut, had a bite to eat, and then carried up onto the ridgeline, and that got pretty narrow, didn't it? And pretty rocky as you carry up and around to that highest point. How were you feeling? How did that go for you?
That was definitely an experience. I thought, oh, great, I'm going to get to go past the hut. So I was quite excited about that. And then as we went up, I was thinking, oh, this is a bit narrower and a bit steeper than what I was expecting. And I said to Fiona, oh, gosh, it's quite steep. And she said, yeah. And I was like, oh, I hope my vertigo doesn't go. And she said, oh, we better watch for that. And it was just, there were a few times where I thought, oh, gosh, this normally I would have turned back if I was on my own. But there was another lady in the group who recognized when I was feeling a little bit wobbly, and she's like, right, we'll try going around this way. And we all just took our time. And I'm so glad that I forged ahead and kept going. And I was squeezing in between rocks and shimmying down surfaces that I would never have imagined in a million years I would have been able to do. And then we came to the bottom of some scree, and I thought, oh, we must be turning back.
It must be turning back now. That's good. Okay, we've got to the end. That's fine. We'll head back now.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like, no, we're going to keep going. And I was like, up scree, this was so all of the things that would ordinarily have sort of stopped me moving forward. We went through them together, and it was really good. And so I had no idea what to expect beyond the hut, because they're two really separate parts of the walk. So the second half is incredible views, experiences, but you felt safe the entire time. And obviously you're responsible for yourself, and you need to be careful and following advice and things like that. But it is that you can do really hard things if you do all of those things. And getting up that scree and sitting up the top, having my sandwich, one of the best things I've ever done.
Good. And it's you've touched on it at the moment there. So as leaders, we sort of try and kind of keep an eye on everybody, but it's not that. Everyone's kind of looking after each other, aren't they? As you mentioned, like some others within the group are kind of looking out for you, and you're looking after them, and you're kind of getting through it together, which is part of the fun stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. Yeah. Good job. So I'm sure my legs were pretty cooked after that one, of all that down. How were yours first up after that?
I don't think I have ever taken as long to kind of readjust to normal life after an event before. I have once run a marathon, and I was sore for a couple of days. This was definitely, and it's the time on your feet. Yes. So not so sore I couldn't do things, but definitely the body felt it for a good 5 days afterwards.
Okay. That's really, it's pretty solid. That's good. As I mentioned, you were sick on our second adventure day at Rat Hill, which unfortunately is part of the gig, isn't it? Sometimes that just happens. How did you feel about missing out that one after the first one?
I had major FOMO, so I was still trying to convince myself the night before I could go, and I was organizing to pack all my things, but I could tell I was going downhill. And then in the morning I was like, there is no way. And I was proper sick for a few days. So what's really cool is obviously you get joined into the chat group, so you can actually see what's happening, which is also hard because you can't be there.
It's good.
It was actually quite good, because on the day we were getting news reports of Arthur's Pass actually closing due to snow and stuff, and I thought, gosh, I hope everybody's all right. And being able to see the photos coming through, I was like, oh no, they're going good. So it was tough not being able to be part of it, but at the same time it looks like everybody had a really good day, so that's good. That's right. And as I mentioned, it was really nor'west, and that's the thing with Arthur's Pass, is not good in those conditions, but being a bit more easterly with some more Mount Hutt, we were just on the edge of it really, and it sort of came and went throughout the course of the day. And that's the beauty of being a little bit flexible with our options, and can change last minute, which works really well. So on to our third adventure that we had just in the weekend, up to Sudden Valley, which is, as I mentioned, just up over Mount White Bridge. Definitely recommended if you're sort of thinking of a cool day trip to do. So how are you feeling about this one? And what were your expectations going into it? I was more nervous about this one than I was about Bailey Spur, because we got a heads up that we would have wet feet pretty early on, and I haven't done a river crossing before, so I thought, okay, well, we're just going to lean into this, and we'll get our feet wet, and then we'll be fine, and I'll bring a spare pair of socks, and I can just change my socks, and everything will be fine.
Very good.
So there was a bit of nerves about that. And also the weather was looking a little bit grim and grey, so I thought it's a long day out, and we're going to be wet, and it's going to be cold. But I told myself this is basically why I signed up to do it, because it's so easy to take the easy route and sort of stay home in the warm, but that's really getting out there and giving things a go, you just feel so good afterwards. So I was like, no, you go and get yourself organised, and off we went. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, good stuff. No, that's good. So we drove up together, and you did mention about the fact that you've got your feet wet once in a big puddle in Bottle Lake. And
yes, that's about it.
I didn't actually understand that. I was like, are you sure? Like you've got your feet wet once while I'm out running. But that was actually the case. We sort of figured that out later on. That was the case.
Yeah. That was the case. So I had I was doing a 4 pause marathon training run with some of the guys that were doing that with our dogs, and we came across a section that was, proper underwater, and it was up to the knee, and I felt like an absolute weapon being able to run for at least another 2 kilometers with wet shoes. And I thought, you've done this.
You've nailed it. That's good. So
That's
it wasn't the first time.
No.
Right. So so we did cross the river a couple of times, didn't we? And I caught up with you at the end, and you actually mentioned how many times we had crossed the river. So what did we get to?
So I've now done it 44 times.
44 river crossings.
As we're going up, I thought, this number's climbing, and obviously we came back the same way, so it's going to double. But I have, for interest's sake, I started to keep count, and I was like, oh my goodness, this was not what I was expecting at all. But you get used to it. And actually, I think about how many times I've complicated how to get around things and find the easiest, driest way. Once your feet are wet, it's actually a lot easier, because you just go through.
Straight through, and it's faster as well, because I don't know. They're sweet anyway. And did you bring 44 pairs of socks, or how did that go?
No, I bought 2, and I didn't even bother, because once I realised that wasn't going to be the only one, and that I just selectively read the information. But your feet warm up. You manage.
They do. They do. Yeah, you did well. That's good. And there was a bit of a scree slope up there as well. It was quite interesting, wasn't it? We got up to the river got a bit gorgier, and then there was like up to the right the route was, and up a scree slope. How did that look to you? How are you feeling about that?
Well, I thought they were joking when they sort of pointed up and said, this is where we're heading. And I thought, no, surely we can just continue to follow the river up, not realizing there's a massive waterfall, so you can't.
Yeah. Okay. So you obviously had dialed in those river crossings by then, so you're like, I'm happy with this. I can do this.
Maybe. So no, it's I thought, well, if we're going up, we're going up, and it must be okay, because there's a track to join. So we're just gonna do it carefully, take our time. And what was brilliant is, because we'd done it at Bailey, and Fiona had actually taken the time to talk us through safety around scree, in terms of calling out rock, which direction to face in, if you knock something, making sure people knew how to really plant your feet. So if that was my first adventure, I would have been far more intimidated by it, but there was some peace in knowing that I'd actually done it once before. And we were going up together. We all knew how to do that safely, and so it was just one foot in front of the other, and that's what we did. But in my mind, I was thinking, I have to come back down here.
So we zigzagged up it, didn't we? And then all of a sudden the track marker was quite a long way up, and just on the side of it. Okay, that's the track, obviously, which is quite impressive. Getting back down again, how did the back down again go?
Oh, it was hilarious, and so much fun.
Moving with you,
I think it only took about a minute.
So
we were
good.
flying down it, but because we all knew how to run down scree, because we'd had that chance to do it at Bailey. And once I understood, you plant your ankles in, and just make sure that, if you fall on your behind, it's only like only falling this far. And it just, it was hilarious. And a couple of your team caught up behind us and were coming running down with poles, and one of them said, where's your poles? And I'm like, oh, it takes all the fun out of it having help, a lot of banter. And we were just laughing, and that was, it was great. So something like that would have, before this absolutely scared me. It would have taken me a good hour and a half to get down something like that, because I would have been so cautious. And what I've learned now is that if you're cautious, you're actually more likely to have a bit of a tumble. But if you do it with a bit of confidence, lean back, get into it, you can get down there easy as. And that was the highlight of the day.
Good stuff. That's awesome. And I mentioned at the start, one of the was Southern Valley Bivers we were off to, and each group made it up to there, and we went up to the snow. You guys carried on up for another sort of 20 minutes past that until the valley opened out, and you see the big moody mountains with the snow and things on top in the distance. How did it feel sort of making it to the Biv at the top? Were you sort of like, oh gosh, we're finally here, or how was it for you?
Bit of that, because I think we're all pretty tired, because when you're really focused on sort of making sure you don't slip over and things like that, it was actually really nice to just go and have a moment and sit in the hut and eat some food and have a bit of a yarn, and it was great. And then obviously as you said, we carried on for a little bit further, which was good as well. We weren't sure if we were going to see any snow. We didn't this time, and that's okay. But no, it felt like a massive achievement. And I know because we were split into 3 groups, it was really awesome that all 3 groups made it up. And I know that the one of the ladies in the last group, that was her goal for the day, and she smashed it, and it was really, really nice to get to see that. It felt really good.
That's awesome. So how have these adventures transferred into other elements of your life? What are the takeaways for you? How have you taken this forward?
Look, I did my first public speaking engagement this week, and this is technically my second, but
that's a record.
I've wanted to get over that fear for a really long time, and I think with most things it takes a few times. But I got up in front of a room of my peers and did a 40-minute presentation, which took so much courage to work up to. But what was helpful is a couple of things. One, going out and doing one of these things forces you to be in the moment. You're not thinking about what you did yesterday. You're not thinking about tomorrow. You're right there, and you're able to appreciate the people around you, the surroundings that you're in, and you're paying attention to everything to stay safe. And for me, having that time out of having to have all these distractions and all this information coming in just felt so good. And it was the perfect little circuit breaker, if you like, particularly that last one, just to go into my public speaking event calm. So, I had a little bit of nerves, obviously, with having to do something unfamiliar and new, but I stood up on that stage and thought, if I can run over wet rocks and, cross rivers 44 times and run up and down Scree and, put myself into an unfamiliar situation with an unfamiliar group of people, why am I worried about this? And honestly, I got up there and did it, and people said to me afterwards, you seemed really calm. And it's like, I was nervous, but at the same time, it was just that perspective, and it's just made me feel so much more confident everywhere, because putting yourself into a situation where, you would ordinarily have turned back, or you think, oh, I just don't know if I can do this, is good for you. Like, I can't, that's to me, that's the secret to life. If you can get through those things, you can get through anything. Hard things are hard things. So the transferability of the the resilience and just that actually, no, you can do this stuff is just amazing. And I don't know that my speaking event on Tuesday would have been as successful had I not gone through this, because it's just taught me so much about what I can do. How
good. It's great to be able to reflect on it just now, isn't it? Just to be able to on the week. You've had a pretty big week. Feels like you need to lie
It's
down.
been a big week. It's been massive.
Yeah. No, that's cool. But great. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome to hear of the little things that we do. Well, not the little things, the big things we do, but just actually pulling that confidence that I can do this stuff and I can step outside of my comfort zone and I can challenge myself and look what happens as a result of that.
Yeah.
Good job. That's good. Will you be back for next year?
100%.
Yeah.
If you'll have me.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard there's a word that we might be talking your husband into it as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
I've
got one last question that yeah, that's right. We'll just quietly chip away. We maybe need to make sure we share the right photos. Maybe some of the photos are a little bit too much.
Yeah.
There's one last question I need to ask as part of this podcast series of this one here. After this last adventure, how toasted were you? How cooked were you as a result of this? Was it number one, like I'm burnt toast, or just lightly toasted, number 9 on the scale here?
I'm going with a 6. I'm going with a 6, and that,
okay.
As I explained, like, physically I was a 1, but mentally I was a 9. So
right. Okay.
just the peace that it gives you in terms of, I get to be in the moment.
Yeah.
That is gold. Honestly, it's made such a difference for me. Yeah.
And you can deal with that one of my body's a bit beaten up, can't you? Because of the high that it's allowed you to do and the people that you've been able to connect with and the adventure that you've been able to sort of overcome.
Yep. That's 100% it. Yeah.
Good job. So what's next? Obviously we do these adventure squads just in winter because there's not many other events and things going on to kind of keep a bit of momentum. So what have you got on for the summer ahead? What's next for Holly?
So in terms of the big events, my plan is Oxman. So what I didn't share is that I've actually been working towards training for a half Ironman for quite some time. And unfortunately in December last year, I knocked myself out doing the pipeline. So I've recovered from a concussion this year, and TeamCP Adventure Squad was the first thing I'd really done since having a concussion, which was amazing. So I'm back on the journey towards conquering my half Ironman plans, and it's a small thing, but the other thing I'm going to finally be able to do is finish the Mountain Dog Challenge, which is something that's put on by Further Faster. And basically there's 10 peaks where you and your dog go and, you take a photo at the top of the peak and submit it. And one of the peaks that I haven't bagged because I read the reviews and went, oh no, that does not sound like me, is Foggy Peak. Because it's mostly scree, and I thought, oh gosh, that's probably outside of my capability. The other one is I've done Trig M, but because beyond Trig M through to Rabbit Hill was actually unmarked, I stopped and didn't go any further because I thought, well, I'm too inexperienced, and now I feel like actually I can do these things. So I'm going to go and finish those peaks without the fear, but obviously still with the caution and doing all the right stuff. Be
well organised.
Yeah, and I'm really well kitted out now. One of the things that this has taught me is that I never took enough kit. So I now feel much more prepared, and even for just going up for a run in the Port Hills, I'm a lot more thoughtful about what might I need. So there's some really good skills in there as well that have come from that. So
that's good. And
so that's what's on the cards for me.
That just makes your day more comfortable, doesn't it? And you enjoy it more if you've got good gear and you can put that extra layer on or down jacket if it's really cold. Yeah,
that's it.
Good job, Holly. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your insights. Congratulations on your weekend with us, but also what has happened this week with your public speaking. That's pretty amazing. And all the best for the next adventure. Look forward to following that, and then also catching back up with you next winter for some more adventures.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
Good job. Okay, take care. Thanks, Holly. Good job, team. Just like that, Holly Gibson, she's had a fantastic time out adventuring in the hills. So if you want to know more about Adventure Squad, we'll be releasing the dates probably later on this year in preparation for the winter, but they will be sort of May, June, July or so. So lock those in your calendar. We did have, as always, people travel from around the country, and we also had Ben Jordan that come across from Sydney. Unfortunately, poor Ben got a migraine the day before, so couldn't actually join us. So that was a bit rough, but transport's part of it. We'll take you out there. We'll have a big day out in the hills, so get amongst that and let us know if you've got any questions along it. But have a fantastic weekend. Look after yourself, and we'll look forward to catching up with for another Quick Connect podcast next week. And I'll scroll down to try and find the over and out button. Cheers, team.